And now we return to As the Paint Dries.
Painterly, what is it, my love? Biff, you know we can't go on like this. But Painterly, you know how I feel about you. We belong together. Don't you know what people are saying about us, Biff? I don't give a damn. Well, I do. No one wants us at their dinner parties anymore. They say we're always clinging together, that we're out of style. I have to learn who I am on my own, stand on my own 2 feet. And so should you. But you don't have any feet. Then I'll order some on Amazon Prime. Hi everyone, I'm Andy. Welcome to Furniture Fables. Breaking up. It's hard to do. More and more people are opting out of the dining room tower of power, or China Hutch as it's more commonly referred to, and this change in lifestyling has resulted in a flood of these once highly desirable and expensive pieces of furniture arriving in thrift stores, free online listings, and even the side of the road. And while it's true they can be remade in all of their mighty glory, sometimes the very best decision a furniture flipper can make is their first, to break up the beast.
I captured this beast I found by the side of the road over a year ago, and it has been living in our garage ever since. I think I had changed my ideas and plans for it so many times I lost count. Plus, smaller projects always seem more appealing somehow, but I had finally exhausted all of my excuses, and so the crew came out to help me move it over into my newly drywalled work area so I could really take a look at it in all its glory. It is a true behemoth, measuring in at an impressive 82 inches tall, solid wood, probably made between the years 1950 and 75. But instead of a sleek mid-century modern design, we have a very traditional piece here, complete with leaded glass windows. After I took that last look at it in its original form, it was time for the very first step in its makeover, to break it up. And so we lifted the top piece down onto a dolly and I moved it into place so that I could take a more thorough tour. So I had thought about really changing this top hutch up, maybe replacing its rather impressively large crown molding, building a new base, really trying to give it a more modern silhouette. But after seeing the price of lumber at my local Home Depot, I started thinking I'd rather try to challenge myself to give it an update without pulling out my saw and keeping my time and out-of-pocket cost at a minimum. Always nice if you are flipping, and if you have something similar at home, I'm hoping that this redesign idea will give you some good inspiration. I started with my little handheld vacuum, and then because the piece was so dirty, I mixed up some TSP and hot water and started scrubbing. Then I remembered my Christmas present from John, and so I ran to grab that and... Okay. Some people are so easily amused. Dun 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 dun. Wonder Woman. Okay, sorry. No, this is not any kind of sponsored video. I just wanted to share with you this dandy little stool that I am loving, and I highly recommend it if you have a back that is prone to soreness, because it has been great for me. I will leave a link in the description box below. Okay, back to cleaning. Did I say this piece was dirty? Yeah, I believe these folks may have owned birds. I actually grabbed a mask. You do not want to breathe in that birdie dust. And then I got out my Clorox wipes and I disinfected the entire piece, making sure to get into all of the cracks and crevices before wiping everything down once more with some clear water and letting the piece dry overnight. When I came back the next morning, I decided to do something I don't often resort to: color sampling. I had a design idea in mind, but I wasn't feeling 100%, so I pulled out a few colors and actually painted a bit of each on that top crown. The bluish gray is Old Soul Gray by Melange. This is Knapsack Khaki, also by Melange. Here is Park Bench Green by Fusion. And this is a blackish dark gray, or a grayish black, by Country Chic. It's called Liquorice. I stood back and looked and asked folks on my Instagram stories what they thought. There were two clear favorites, the black and the green. And I also consulted the AP art student. She has a very good eye, so I like to ask her whenever I get a chance what she thinks. And I molded over some more before finally having that aha moment, and then diving on into the sanding. There were just a few spots on the hutch where the finish was failing a little bit, so I spot sanded those, and then I did a general scuff sand everywhere else, including the back paneling, even though I was pretty sure I wasn't going to paint it. More on that later. Then I used my Festool dust extractor system as a shop vac to clean up a lot of that dust, and a damp microfiber cloth to wipe up the rest. And then started painting. Yep, I chose to go with Liquorice. So here's my question to you. Are you a licorice person? And if so, are you a red licorice person or a black licorice person? I absolutely love black licorice. My best friend from 7th grade, who also remakes furniture and whom I also messaged for advice about the design idea for this piece. Hi, Anna. Well, her mom is from Sweden and she introduced me to salted black licorice. Have you had this? It's one of those things that people seem to either love or hate, and I love it. John thinks I'm a little bit crazy, but there you go. Okay, back to painting, because I'm actually trying not to focus on candy right now. This beautiful extra dark gray or light black, whichever you see it as, looked so nice with the original stain. You can see that the wood grain has a lot of black in it. And so I think this choice is going to save us time and paint, because we're not going to paint every single bit of the cabinet. And I think it's going to provide a really sophisticated and adaptable backdrop. I painted the inset side panels, the crown, and then the bottom trim and the inside bottom. Then I gave the 4 doors a good cleaning with some simple green and gave them a good rinsing. And then they had their first coat of Liquorice. Now, you may have noticed I'm not priming. That's because with our scuff sanding and Country Chic's built-in primer, I'm really not too worried about adhesion. And because of the color, this very, very dark gray or light black, again, I'm not really worried about bleed through either. You also may notice that I'm not using any painter's tape. I actually kind of enjoy cutting in without tape as long as I'm using a really great brush. And I have to say, this little angle brush by Fusion is one of my favorites. Does anyone else do this? Switch hands while painting? I didn't really realize I do it that much, but I've noticed it ever since I've started editing film of me painting. I am right-handed, but I notice I do use both when painting. Okay, I added a second coat over everything that had received a first coat, and after all that dried, I got out my fine grit rad pad and gave everything a really good sanding. I deliberately gave the doors and all the trim a relief or distressing sanding, letting the warmth of that wood peek through that soft black. I used a tack cloth to make sure I'd removed all of that sanding dust. And then I got out my brown finishing wax by Jolie. Lots of times you will see brown wax being used on lighter colors of paint to add an aged effect. I don't often do that technique. It's not really one of my favorites, but I really love to use brown or black wax over black or brown or very dark gray paint. I feel like it really warms up the color in a natural and soft way. You can see how I really work it into the paint, going in both directions and in circles, back and forth. You want to work in sections and then go back and wipe up any excess with a lint-free cloth. It's really crucial that you make sure you are using a lint-free cloth. You don't want to get little bits of cloth fibers into your fresh wax. Okay, now it was time to make the biggie design choice. I don't typically like to use wallpaper as the main design statement for a piece, but for this one, where that back wall is so visible, using a peelable paper is such a great and non-permanent way to update it and add so much personality and mood. Oh, I used this one in my very first fable, the 80s flip everyone wanted to buy. I still think that paper is so cool. Ah, yes, the metallic bees. They have come through for me so many times. This is just a great paper to have on hand. It goes with so many things. Here's another view. Wow, you can really see how each paper gives our doors a completely different feel, a different energy, a different mood, a different personality. So, what do you think? Which one would you choose? Well, why don't we wait till the end to see which one made the cut? I know, completely shameless suspense building. John and I put the piece on its back, and then I took a look at the 3 options I had for feet. The first one was a longer, squared metal leg, and the second was a tapered kind of woodblock foot. And this third one was a black metal foot with some scroll details. I took off the metal base pads that the piece originally had, and then I screwed in those new feet into place. I decided to go with those scrolly black metal feet. And I also decided not to inset them, but instead to take them out to sit flush with the trim edge. Now, I know that I will need to add some more support for this very wide piece. These 4 feet in those outer corners will not be enough. And so I actually went ahead and ordered a second set of feet that will arrive probably on the day that this video goes live. So I will be adding them, and I'll show you that final detail in next week's fable. Okay, so are you a door person or a non-door person? I took a little bit of some dark brown paint. This is Chocolate by Fusion. And I watered it down to create a sort of wash. And then I added that wash to those bare spots on the frame where the door is attached. With this nice dark brown wash, I think those notches will mostly disappear once they are the same color as the rest of the body. And then the piece could be used with or without its doors. Final steps, I gave those glass shelves a good cleaning and carefully set them back into place. Whew. And then finally brought those incredible doors back home. Okay, do you remember our top of the tower who was caught flat-footed, singing only one note, and whose most amazing feature was lost in the dull and the dark? And here she is, now. Wow, so long, side of the road. This one is alive and kicking. Energized with that modern tension of fine and rugged playing off one another, this piece has become a showstopper. So let's turn on her spotlights. But in case you'd like an even lighter look, here she is now. Very trending. 2 doors off, 2 doors on. Perhaps the best of both worlds. Or here she is now. Even without those incredible doors, she shines as an open shelving cabinet. And what of that wired top? Well, with its black metal light cans set into the finished wood, I honestly think it looks kind of cool and industrial. But if you'd rather not see the lighting hardware, well, then cue the decor department. That's still me. Oops, gotta get those price tags off those thrifted treasures. These tops are actually amazing for decorating at their new height. Their inset tops make for the perfect bed for your favorite baskets, family photos, greenery. It's really kind of a decorator's dream. I could have spent the whole day playing staging with this piece. It was an absolute delight to work with. Every single object I placed on it, from vintage to modern, saturated color to to the sparkling white of that Wedgwood china. It made every single one come alive and sparkle with happy, joyful energy. I think our roadside topper has found her feet, her very chic new feet.
So what did this very chic updated cabinet cost me? Well, I'm going to need 2 sets of those feet. When the others arrive, I will add them on and I'll make sure to show them to you next week. So total cost for those new feet will be about $40. I used about $30 worth of that very funky, awesome wallpaper and about $20 worth of paint, wax, other incidentals. So my total out-of-pocket cost was $90. This was a relatively quick makeover. It took me about 4 hours, not including drying time. So if I pay myself $45 an hour, that would be $180 for my labor, putting my possible list price at $270. However, a lot of people have encouraged me to maybe consider listing it at a different price point. Those doors, the fact that it is lighted, gives the piece a special kind of value. So what do you think? What would you list it at? What do you think it's worth? I'm not really sure. I think I'm going to do a little bit more research before I list it. I will give you an update next week, and I'd love to hear what you think. Got any advice? I hope you enjoyed this drama-infused fable. If so, please leave me a thumbs up and a comment. Let me know. What'd you think? Would you have chosen a different paper, different paint color, different foot? So many design choices. And make sure to join me next week when Biff the Buffet gets his makeover. Thank you so much for joining me, my friends. I will see you next time for more Furniture Fables.